Conversations with Phil. Business advice without the BS. Just straight talk and frank conversations to help you grow your business by teaching you to get more leads, earn more referrals, and close more business. Each episode, Phil has a conversation with a business leader to offer you insights from their business and translate it into actionable tips for your business. In this episode of Conversations with Phil, Phil Gerbyshak is joined by best-selling author, before it was even released, of Think Big, Act Bigger, Jeffrey Hayzlett. Jeff is a primetime television host of C-Suite with Jeffrey Hayzlett and Executive Perspectives on C-Suite TV, and business radio host of All Business with Jeffrey Hayzlett on CBS on-demand radio network Play.it. He's a global business celebrity, speaker, best-selling author, and chairman of C-Suite Network, home of the world's most powerful network of C-Suite leaders. Hayzlett is a well-traveled public speaker, the author of 2 best-selling business books, The Mirror Test and Running the Gauntlet. His 3rd book, Think Big, Act Bigger, releases September 2015. Hayzlett is one of the most compelling figures in business today.
So cool. So I get to talk to Jeff Hayzlett today. Really stoked because, been following this shit for a while. Really excited with Think Big, Act Bigger. Already in its 2nd printing, and the book.
You got the free copy. Go get the hard copy.
Dude, it's not out.
Man, there's Amazon's already starting to ship, and you just said it's in its 2nd printing already. It hasn't even shipped yet, or literally it hasn't launched officially, and the pre-release copies have all been bought up. So, yeah, we're really excited, and we just 80,000 copies went out yesterday again. So it's like, wow, it's big stuff.
Yeah, it's killer. So
huge, think big, huge.
Woot, yeah. So.
Do you ever see that guy? There's a guy in Rochester who does cars, Rochester, Buffalo, all the northeast side, and he goes, "Hey, we're huge, Rochester, we're huge." Anyway,
we got a guy like that in Florida too, Jeff. He must be from upstate New York because he says, and it's huge. He forgets the H. Huge.
Yeah, could be the same guy. I bet you. Is he a big guy?
Yeah. Totally.
I'll bet you $5 it's the same guy. And this is the guy who thinks big. He owns a bunch of them there, and I bet he says, "Hey, I got to retire. What the hell, man, Rochester and Buffalo? It's cold in Rochester and Buffalo. Well, I need to move down south and go where the sun is." And I'll bet you it's the same guy. Yeah. Oh, well, we're going to compare notes after this.
Totally, yeah. He's got Club Med vacations. We're giving away. It's huge.
Yeah, that's the same guy. I bet you $5.
That's awesome. So starting off thinking big already, man. So let's talk about this book, man, because it really is good. In one plane ride, I read the whole book, which is saying something because my attention span's about this long. So it's a really great book, man.
Thank you.
What the heck? What caused you to write this? Because your other books are really good too, but this one really jumps off, and I hear your voice on every page, man.
Yeah, this one's got more attitude, without question. I decided I'm sick and tired of working with people who tell me they can't do things, and they're in charge. They're the C-level executives, and they can't do things. They're the owners of the company. They can't do things. Or people who say, I'd like to spend more time with my family. What's someone holding the gun to your head and saying you can't? I mean, they got you kidnapped, locked up in the closet, and said you can't. I want to spend more time with my husband. More, I want to do this. Whatever it is, insert blank. Insert here. And I'm just tired of it. And so I face it all day long, and it's exhausting having to deal with people and deal with organizations like this. And so, look, I come from a place where most people only know is a spot on a map. I come from South Dakota, and truly, there's just the 2 of us here and your audience. I mean, that's population density compared to what we got in South Dakota. So, and why the South Dakota is the greatest place in the world to live. There's no doubt about it. Greatest place to do business. At the same time, look, I'm from there. All right, there's 700,000 people in the entire state. All right, entire state, and yet look what I've done. And I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not trying to be arrogant or brag about it. But look, I've gone on to be a Fortune 100 officer of a major corporation, billions of dollars worth of budget, sold and bought over 250 businesses in my career. Had 2 bestsellers. Now this one's officially going to be a bestseller just because we've already sold the number of books to make it that so, and we're not even released yet. I've hosted a primetime television show. I've got the #1 CBS radio show for business in terms of being a business anchor for them. And I'm doing stuff I want to do. however I want to do it. And so if I can do that, why can't you? I don't get it. I'm not the brightest guy. I'm not the best looking guy. Well, maybe best looking, but pretty close to it. But anyway, I'm not the fastest guy or smartest guy, but yet I'm doing these things. And I didn't come from a rich background. I didn't come from Ivy League education. I've been scrapping it all my life, and yet I'm doing it. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. And so Wendy Keller's my book agent, said, Jeff, you got to do the quintessential Jeff Hayzlett book. And so I said, well, we got to think big and act bigger. And I said, that's what it is. And this book is about, the most dangerous move you can make in business is no move at all. And it's about empowering you to be a bigger, badder, bolder version of yourself or of your business. And that's what I wanted to come across. Like, you can do this. And here's what we have to do. Eliminate, kill squirrels, focus. And we'll go through all I'm sure, the stories that we have in the book and the examples. But I just wanted to put out something like there's a manifesto as a movement of let's think big.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I love the fact that you come from kind of small background. I mean, I come from a town of 996 people where a minority was a German person. Right. So I'm with you, man. That's where I came from too.
Yeah.
Like, why the hell not do it yourself? Pick, if you're not picking you, if you're not thinking bigger, nobody else is. So why do you think though, Jeff, that people hold themselves back?
For lots of reasons, for some they've been beaten down so many times and told that they can't do it and they're not worthy of it, or they're not smart enough, or not, whatever it is. I think sometimes to some extent it's an easy way out. It's an easier way. Look, called hard work because it's hard. Okay. Keep that, write that down, tweet that, and that's the kind of things you want to be able, to be able to think about. Not everybody's going to do it. I got it. Not everybody. And I tell people, I've spoken at National Speaker Association recently, and, they were talking about how do I get a television show? How do I do that? And how do I do 160 speeches a year, get to that level that you do, and some of the others that are at the very top of the food chain from that perspective, because, what I do is at the top 0.5% of that particular industry. And I say that not to be hubris, because I said it's not hubris if it's true, So I say it just as a matter of fact, because that's what we do. We run a business of me and run a business of the brand. But I told the folks in the room, I said, let's be very clear. Most of you won't do the things you need to do to be me. You won't put in the work that you have to do. You won't make the investment that you have to do. We run a book club. We run a C-suite television, and we have bestseller TV, and people won't, they want to be on the TV, but they don't want to make the investment to make it. And I said, I have to tell them constantly, why should I invest more money in you than you're willing to invest in yourself? If you're not willing to make those commitments and do it, then why should I do those things on your behalf?
Yeah, that's so important, right? If we're not willing to pour in ourselves, why the heck should we expect that anybody else in the world would ever invest in us, right? I mean, I got $1. Jeff, will you give me 50?
Yeah.
No, get the hell out of here, right?
Well, I'll give you 50 if you turn around and give me 500. But so show me what's in it for me, and you can make that happen. I'm more than willing to make those investments. But typically they don't show that. They're only looking at it from me. And I've always found that, and I do give a lot. And I talk about that in the book about having a servant mentality. Yep. That if you give, you get. And I think that's a great way of being able to say it.
Yeah, definitely. So that hard work thing, right? That really should be kind of the next piece of the book, right? Think big, act bigger, work your ass off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's the miss. That is the miss. So
and then people say, well, work smarter, not harder. Well, no, you're going to need to do both. Quite frankly, it's not an either or situation. You're going to have to do both. I consider myself still a pretty smart guy, even though I'm not the smartest. But I'm very smart, but I have to work really hard, and for lots of different reasons, and partly because I want to. That's the other thing, is I want to, because I like it. I enjoy it, to, be at my ranch in South Dakota, to work outside and come in just exhausted, lay down and just pass out, because I love that feeling. Right. And I love the feeling in the business side of being so busy. It's like I look at my schedule for today, literally, and it's like this for the entire month. I'm doing interview after interview. I mean, this is what it is, people, please, I need to pee. I need to, can you build some of those in every so often, kind of thing. And literally I'm doing like one after another after these, literally, I think 150 or so in 10 days. So, and we'll continue to keep doing that.
Yeah, but that's the key, right? Is you have to be relentless. You have to be willing to go after it. It is a lot of work, but if you want those things, if you really want them, you're going to make the sacrifice, right? It's really, I wouldn't even call it a sacrifice, right? It's really a trade-off. What you want,
no, well, you need to work hard and hydrate.
there you go. Hydrate's important. That's
I do.
good.
Well, let me point out. I always use this as an example. All right. So Mont Blanc sponsor. That's why I like to point them out. There's the product plug right there.
Ding.
So like a seesaw, if you push on one side, something's got to give on the other. I mean, that's just the nature of the game. So that's the thing that you have to look at in terms of think big, act bigger. It's not the lucky who win, it's the relentless. And in being relentless, you're going to have to make choices. And so that, like that seesaw, if you push on one, something's got to give on the other. So if it's going to take more time, then you got to give up something on something else. And you've got to balance all those things between your personal life, your spiritual life, your family, and your business. All of those things have to have some kind of balance in them, but they're never on balance. Usually they're off kilter, and that's just choices you have to make.
Yeah. So yeah, I love that. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about NSA. And you made the Hall of Fame this year.
Yep.
And that's no accident. You worked your butt off, and you certainly deserve that. But why? Like, how does that feel, man? Because that's something that not a lot of people are ever going to see. And as a speaker, right, as someone who does this day in and day out, Jeff, how does it feel to get that sort of recognition?
Oh, it's really nice. It's not something you have to have. Maybe for some people it is. I don't, I'd rather have the recognition of my family or the people that are the closest to me. But, I was really taken by it, and it meant a lot to me. This is actually my fifth now Hall of Fame. I'm in the Quick Bring Hall of Fame, the Direct Marketing Hall of Fame, the Sales and Marketing Hall of Fame, and Direct Market, and the Business to Business Business Marketing Hall of Fame. But this one really meant a lot to me because of the people that are in it, and not that the other people in the other ones aren't important, but of the people who have been my idols, and some of my friends like Harvey McKay and Brian Tracy, two of my friends, but also people I truly admire, and they're competitors, and both in one case business. Harvey was a competitor of mine in business, in the printing business for years, and then both in competitors as speakers, but also colleagues as well. Yep. But then to be with Harvey, not Harvey and Brian, as I mentioned, but Ronald Reagan, Colin Powell, Norman Vincent Peale. I mean, come on. These are some of the greatest names in the history of speaking and being orators. And so I have a strong orator tradition. I tell stories in the book. I tell stories on stage. I tell stories in television. And so I love to have that. And so that does mean a lot. It's a great deal. And it's nice to be recognized by your peers. And that's indeed what the award is your peer of excellence. And that's and the Academy of Excellence for each of the peers that are in that organization. And I think there's only been about 70 people that have been inducted so far, or something like that number. And I'm sure that the group's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow as it gets more and more, people that are recognized for being such excellent, keynoters, excellent speakers, and really who have helped transform people's lives and businesses and personal relationships when you look at it.
Yeah, cool. So that's good. So let's do the squirrel thing, right? Let's jump back there, Jeff.
Squirrel,
squirrel, right? So you talk about that in the book. You've actually written a couple of books, and I say that because this is not like some lucky fluke here for Jeff. This book is fantastic, and it's about thinking big. But we talk about that, but then you talk about killing the squirrels, Jeff.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, right? That's how you're able to write. I would guess that's how you're able to write such good books and achieve such good stuff.
Yeah, we wrote this book in about a month, but we'd been working on it or thinking about it for a while. But the way in which we write is, we get very focused on that, and I think that's one of the key themes in the book is how to become really focused. And when I talk about the focus and killing squirrels, if you remember where I'm alluding to the movie Up. Yep. And in the movie Up, there's a character in the movie called Doug the dog, and yep. Doug can talk. Yeah, and Doug can talk because he's wearing a collar that his master has given him that allows us to be able to, hear his thoughts transcribed by voice. And so Doug is talking to the Ed Asner character and to the little Cub Scout, and he goes, "Hi, I'm Doug the talking dog. My master allows me to talk by this collar." And he goes, "Squirrel." And then he turns back, and then he starts talking, and squirrel. because the dogs keep, like dogs do, are distracted by other things, and not just dogs, but humans and people. And so it's about those squirrel moments. And so you have to be able to learn to focus. I mean, to give a good example, the team that's right here in this office, there's banks of desks that are in here, and I'm in here in the middle of our Sioux Falls office having these interviews one after another. I'm on this phone, I'm on this computer, and I'm talking to reporters and media people all over the world. And yet they're carrying on their business, carrying on their conversations because they're focused. And I'm focused by ignoring them and sometimes hearing what they do and try not to go off target. And so that's what we have to do every day in business. That's what we have to do in every relationship that we have, is how do we get single-minded focus, not just single-minded about one thing, but the 5 or 6 things that mean the most in our business when I'm talking about business. Now, you could apply this to your personal relationships as well. But what are those conditions of satisfaction that we need to identify and meet and drive every single day and kill those squirrels that get in the way of us doing the things that are most important?
Yeah. So give us one tip, Jeff. What one way that we can do better at focusing? Because I know I struggle with that. I'm sure a lot of people do, but just give us one tip.
Well, in the book, look at that. I just grabbed the book and I immediately turned to the page that I was going to refer to.
Of course you did.
No, I know. I'm just.
No, I mean that. That's awesome. Of course.
My whole life is like this. My whole life is like Forrest Gump. I meet people. It's like, holy shit. Oh, you're a knight. Oh, wow. I'm sitting on a plane. Who was that? Some knight. Can't remember his name. Anyway, and I'm sitting next to him, and he gives me his card. It's Sir something. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He's, and I do this all the time. Oh, I know that guy. Anyway, my whole life's like that. But here I am. I point right to the book. So there's the book. Now, that's an actual list of my focus products. Now, I almost said to those guys, "Holy shit! You really put my real list in there," because my co-author, ghostwriter, he actually took my notes that day, and I thought, well, he's just going to put some, normal things in there. So most people would have like the greatest things you have to work on. You make your pyramid, and you'd flip it up like that, and it would look like this, and your most important things up here, and your next important, and then those things, other things you got to work on. And all those are important. I say flip it up, and you put your most time, where you need to spend most of your time, on the biggest things that make the biggest things to your business. And so I literally draw this every day. Now I draw it in different forms, but I'm sitting here looking at it, but I tend to draw it like this now, where I got this, this, and this, and every day I come in and I redraw that. So I refocus. What do I have to get done for the day?
That's awesome.
I mean, it's that simple. What do I have to get done for the day? And then, sometimes I'll even draw out like, oh, these are all the emails I got to get done today. So I write myself notes. I got to do emails and I just do them that way. Because even sometimes I don't have enough time to even type them. I have to handwrite them and then say, hey, send this out for me. Or now what I'm doing, I just found another tool where I can just do it by video. I'm doing that today. I'm signing up.
What tool is that?
It's called Bomb.
Nice.
Yeah, somebody just told me about it. I think it's called, I'm pretty sure it's called Bomb. And so I was going to say it's Dum Dum, but I'm pretty sure it's Bomb. It's for Dum Dums, but it's like the bomb, and it just allows me to really quickly do the video, send it, do the video and send it. And I love that. It's just like the other cool tool that I'm using right now is Dragon Dictation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be very careful though, because I keep the microphone on, and it types shit all the time. I'll be in the middle of something. Oh crap! I'll get squirreled or something. And all of a sudden I'm sending an email that's like 2,000 pages because I just did an interview, and it's typed the email to my wife or something.
That's awesome.
Not good.
That's funny.
So I'm always having to put the red button. It's right there. It's sitting right there right now.
Stop.
There it is.
That's
Stop.
Yeah. So refocus, right? That's what we're talking about there, which it is a constant battle. But I like the fact that you make that most, medium, and least amount of time, because like you said, man, if we do that backwards and we say, oh, well, you just get this much time, why the heck are we doing that then?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When we typically, it's just a way for me to visually look at it and frame it. And that's the reason I use it. It's just to look at it and frame it, to say, this is where I should be spending most of my time, Jeff. It's like a no-brainer chart for me. I like that.
Yeah, no, totally. So you mentioned, this book is ghostwritten, right? But not really. I mean, Jim's name is on the cover, right? That's not really ghostwritten. But talk to us a little bit about that process, because I know a lot of people they want to, they want to write a book and they're busy as heck, right? Running their business. So they can't write. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a different process for different people. I know some people go off into a cabin or something like that, and I follow other authors as well, friends of mine, and they go off and they go to a cabin or go to the ocean or something like that. I'd freak out if I did that. The what I do, and Jim's been with me for 3 years now. Jim's first book before he found me or I found him was a cookbook. He'd written a cookbook. So okay, well we both have a huge love for bacon.
Ah, yes, bacon.
There's lots of good things. So we always send each other bacon packages, which is awesome. And Jim's just the nicest guy. He's complete opposite of me, but where there are a lot of synergies, and he's got a real good thing for my voice. He captures my voice very well. And so what we do, and what we always have done, we sit down for the first time we think about the book, and we think, okay, what are we going to write about? And what's it going to be? Jeff, what do he just facilitates it for me. He says, Jeff, what do you think you want to talk about? And I said, well, I want to talk about these things. And we throw them up on the board, and then we start putting it into sections, and then we start putting into chapters, and then we start putting in stories. Oh, don't forget this one. I want to do this one. I want to do this one. And then we start putting those in, and they don't always stay in the same places because you move them around. But we spend a good day where we really focus in on until we get a framework for what I want to talk about. And I say we because I'm trying to be inclusive, but it's for what I want to say, and then he helps me organize those thoughts into chapters and all right, now we got to do a paragraph. So Jeff, what do you want to say about that? So, and what he does is he literally just turns on the recorder and I just start talking. And that's how we do everything. And then every night we sit down, literally I get home 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, cause I got to go to these red carpet things or this thing or dinners, or even if it's a dinner, I get home around 9:30 or something like that. 10 o'clock, and then we spend 2 to 3 hours every single night until we get it done. And then what we do, and then usually halfway through it, we get together face to face and go through what we've done. But what we do is I would say, okay, let's talk about this, or he would say, Jeff, let's talk about this. You mentioned these 5 things. And he basically just says, go. And I just start going. And then he asks me probing questions because Jim's a very smart guy. He's very, very analytical and very, very articulate and well-read and, well-schooled and everything else. So he's really smart, a lot smarter than me. And so, he'll start asking me questions and I go off, and then, I have squirrel moments all the time. Oh, Jim, let's write this down. And of course he's recording that. And then that night he works on it. And then the next day he works on it. And then in the middle of the afternoon, he sends me, this is what I wrote from what you said.
Wow.
And then so I read that and I mark up the kinds of things, but literally now between Jim and I, it's not much, and I say, well, that's not right, or this is right or something. So we're editing the book as we go, so we don't have to make the big changes later on. And then we spend the first that night, and then so the next that night I spend about an hour with them on the phone going through all we just did the night before, and then we spend 2 more hours going through the next section. And then that becomes our cadence for how we get it done. And, literally we can knock it out pretty quick. I mean, this is this is a good sized book, 50,000 words, so I don't know how many chapters it is. I need to look. But yeah, we have three good sections. I guess we have 10 chapters. Yeah. Almost every book has 10 chapters. So last book I did 35 chapters, but they were a lot smaller chapters. But
yeah.
But that's kind of how we do it, and the deals are like, I treat him as a partner. So he gets a cut of the book. He gets a cut of every single one that's sold. I pay Jim, for his services, because he's doing a valuable service for me, but he also gets some upsell on the book too, which is great for him. He loves that.
Yeah. Cool.
And I cut him in on the audio portion of the book and, any other pieces that we sell.
Cool. Yeah.
Good thing. He likes doing it. Well,
that's a win-win, man. But it sounds like that's kind of some more work, huh, Jeff? That doesn't sound like it's simple, but that's not easy. So if folks want to do that.
No, it's not easy.
Right?
Yeah, no, you have to think through it. So what's the marketing plan? Well, you can imagine what our marketing plan looks like. I mean, you could take up entire walls, single spaced, 10-point type of the things that we're doing as part of the book. Anything I get in on advance on a book, we put 100% of it into marketing. I mean, we spend it all on marketing. But that's why, we sell hundreds of thousands of copies,
Yeah,
compared
so.
to the, there's 300, get the numbers on the book. There's 3.5 million new book titles a year in North America, 3.5 million. And there's over 300,000 of those are business books every single year. So when you look at that, and the average business book sells 7,500 copies. So if a guy like me sells 500,000 copies, some of you guys are screwed, because that means you're never going to get up to, you're never going to get up to the, to that level. And that's not bad. I mean, can you do a self-published book and sell a couple thousand and make decent money? Sure you can, if you're trying to sell everyone 10, 20 bucks a piece and, you sell 2,000 of that. Okay, that's still good money. Don't run away from that. But to hit the big time, there's a lot you have to do, and you have to start marketing that book and start selling that book at least 6 months before the pub date, and that's what a lot of people don't do.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
here I am on my book right now. They just told us they're going to a second printing, and and it hasn't even gone out yet. So some of them are shipping, but it hasn't released. The official release date isn't even yet. So
yeah, that's really cool. And that, like you said, I mean, that's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, a lot of marketing stuff, a lot of pre stuff. And then once it launches, right, then you got to speak and fulfill all that stuff.
Yeah, you got to really the real work begins. That's what I tell everybody. There's a lot of work ahead of time, but the real work begins. We'll do about it. I think we're up to over 96 speeches in the next 90 days or so that we booked, and they keep coming in. That doesn't include the media. Like media is just it'll be heavy.
Yeah.
So we're going to do a lot of that, and of course, not to mention social media. I'm already killing people with tweets and stuff.
Yep. So we're almost wrapping up here, but I want to talk about one thing, and that is the name of your PR company. I think it's awesome.
Oh, Tallgrass.
Yeah. So talk about that. Like, Tallgrass is such a great name. And before you answer that, Tallgrass, where I'm from in Milwaukee, was like a grass-fed beef company.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, Jeff, that's kind of not what you're going for here.
No, well, and in South Dakota, the most famous brand name of Tallgrass is a alcohol and drug recovery company. So there you go. But a lot of people know it as Tallgrass, but I call it Tallgrass Public Relations because it's I live in the prairie, South Dakota. I live in New York, and I live in South Dakota. And South Dakota is my home, but New York's my other home. And but tallgrass is where I'm from, meaning they're prairie grasses, and tall grass can grow as high as 6 feet tall. I mean, it's very tall grass. Now, it's back in the Indian days of old, not the casino days of today, but the older days of Native American Indians who were in the area. They would burn the grass in order to let it rejuvenate again, or there would be natural prairie fires, and you would always have this regrowth of this grass. And over time, this grass became the most fertile ground there was in the world because it would decay, or a rebirth of this growth. And so this area of the country is the most fertile portion in the world. No, there's no argument about how much we can produce here in this area. And so that was part of the reason for the name, part. Because that's kind of like the G version for the name. But the real name is because I like things that are like juxtaposed. I like things that are the good but the bad, and I like the good or the ugly even. I like the yin and yang. I very much like that. When you see me, you see this big brass bowl, but if you really know me, I'm a teddy bear at heart. So I like those kinds of things. Now, the other portion of our name, Tallgrass Public Relations and it's a social media company, is if you want to run with the big dogs, you got to learn to piss in the tall grass. And that says that right on our website. And I think we use the word P, so we make it a little more
PG
nicer for
R.
people. Yeah. Well, because my wife doesn't like that piece of it. So I like to show that, and that's because the team that does it, we only work with high growth companies. It is one of the most aggressive companies that you'll ever find. We'll send marching bands into presentations. We do all kinds of crazy things all the time just to get people, to think about the things we've got to do, or to see that you want to run with big dogs, you got to learn to pee in the tall grass. Speaking of, I got to tell this one story. I'm probably running out of time. Cut me off.
We're good, dude. We're good.
Edit it out if you have to. But the cover, I did the cover this way too. And the cover of the book, you'll see me standing in the boardroom of CBS. That's where that was, and was taken during the hottest day of the year when we took this picture. And then on the backside is from behind, and that was taken in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Awesome.
And so I wanted to show the front of in your face, but at the same time, how we need to be reflective. I wanted to show big city and big success, and yet, good, solid background of a great company. And by the way, that was shot during the coldest day in South Dakota. And so I like to do things like that, and subliminal kinds of messages to show you, look, even though someone says it's this, there's always this, and it's this way or it's this way. And the key thing for most people is, in thinking big and acting bigger, you don't have to do it just one way. Just do it your way. And it might not be the best way, it might not be the fastest way, but you know what? It's your way. And that's what you want to keep in mind, but you have to act bigger. And that's the most important piece of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're going to get your book, Jeff, we could get it freaking anywhere books are sold. Now, it might be sold out, so you better hurry up, get your butt there, so I can get my copy. I agree with you, dude. I got a turd copy, so I'm getting a real one, so it's coming. But
well, but they'll reserve them. They'll print them very fast. They'll print them. They'll be printed within days. So
Absolutely.
Even though they might be getting really low, they're still going to have them. So no problem. And you can get them as ebooks. I mean, right now, if you buy a brand new Nook, you get my book for free. The new Galaxy Tab 2 from Samsung is out for Nook, and Nook is shipping my book for free when you buy that new Nook. So there you go. Yeah. But it's also on iBooks. It's on Amazon, on Kindle. Certainly Barnes & Noble, your independent bookstores. You'll see it in every single bookstore in North America. We just got word that Paradis is going to be putting in their stores in October on the front end caps, and but that's in addition to all the, I think, 300 or 400 other bookstores in the airports that they're already doing it. So
that's just awesome.
Yeah, no, it keeps coming. Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, congrats. So if we want more, Jeff, what's your favorite social media channel if we're going to connect with you once this craziness is over?
You can connect with me on any social media channel, because I'm on all of them. Maybe not so much Google Hangout, but I don't think anybody is. But I am on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. You can link into all of those, or connect with me on all of them, or whatever the one that's most best for you. I'll be there.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, Jeff, it was fun. Thinking big, acting bigger. Great stuff. Can't wait to see you in a
dude, and you should get an office and move out of that hotel room. I'm telling you.
I can't think that big, man.
You got to tell people. What did I tell you? Right when we logged on, I said, "You're in a Marriott, aren't you?"
Yeah, I'm in a Marriott in Raleigh, North Carolina. Jeff,
I knew that. I knew that because I know what those rooms look like. I helped pick out that decor. No.
That's it, man. Freaking Rain Man here. Jeff Hayzlett. Thanks, buddy.